Growing up is a journey filled with choices, challenges, and social connections. It's a time of exploration and self-discovery, but for students, the pressure to fit in often feels like an unstoppable force. Peer pressure, a subtle yet powerful influence, creeps into their lives in ways that are not always immediately noticeable. Among the most sensitive and life-changing areas it affects is relationships, particularly sexual relationships. These pressures can shape decisions, emotions, and even futures in ways many may not anticipate. How common is this phenomenon?
Peer pressure is really high, especially when you're in a group of friends. You're going to see your friends with a boyfriend, yeah? And they're holding hands and they're walking together and she's receiving gifts, yeah? And you're going to want the same thing, the same experience. So I feel like that would push you to find a boyfriend, even if you're not really looking for one at the time. And I feel like social media also plays a really big role, because all over social media right now, it's just couples. So yeah, if you're not in a relationship, you're going to feel like something is wrong with you, or you're not normal, or yeah.
The reality is, peer pressure in a relationship is alarmingly common. It's a persuasive force that often begins subtly. It might be a passing comment from a friend or an expectation set within a group chat. However, for many students, this subtle nudge evolves into a defining aspect of their teenage years. When students are pushed into relationships or sexual activities before they are emotionally or mentally prepared, the impact can be profound and long-lasting. Trust, which takes time and effort to build, can be easily eroded. Self-esteem, a fragile and essential part of a young person's identity, can take a hit, leaving scars that may take years to heal. Emotional security, a cornerstone of healthy relationships, often becomes a casualty in the face of such pressures. What does this mean for the future? Relationships shaped by guilt, where regret looms larger than happiness. Picture a world where intimacy is not a joyful choice but an act tied to a sense of obligation. This is the legacy of unchecked peer pressure for too many young people, a legacy that can overshadow their potential for authentic connection and happiness.
Sexual relationships have a negative impact in that manner, because it builds insecurities. The more sexual relationships you're having, I feel like as a woman, the more insecure you are, because you're like, what if he doesn't like me because I've had so many people, yeah? So in future, it's going to be really hard for you to break down all those insecurities and let someone love you for you, you get? And I also feel like people might not want to be in a healthy relationship with you if they know you've had like too many sexual relationships, because they're gonna be like, oh, she's just with everyone. So not many people would want to associate with you in a healthy manner like that.
The pressure often begins with group norms, those unspoken rules that dictate what's cool or acceptable. In today's digital world, these norms are no longer confined to the classroom or lunch table. Social media amplifies them, broadcasting trends and expectations far and wide. From sharing intimate photos to proving the legitimacy of a relationship, for all we see, these pressures take on a life of their own in the online world. Why then do many students succumb? What makes the need to conform so overwhelming? For many, it's the fear of being left out. It's the anxiety of being that one person who doesn't fit the mold, the only one not in a relationship, or the only one not meeting the group's expectations. This fear of exclusion is potent, turning peer pressure into a formidable force. It's a weapon of compliance wielded through whispered words, side glances, or the ever-present like button on social media posts.
I feel like friend groups really influence this a lot. Like after class or before class, when you're chilling with your friends, you people are going to talk about everything, and maybe one person is going to mention their relationship, and it's going to touch you in the right or in the wrong way, and you'd want to also experience what they're experiencing.
But what is the emotional cost of giving in to such pressure? For students who yield, the consequence can be profound. Guilt often settles in, a nagging reminder of choices made too soon or under duress. Anxiety becomes a constant companion, fueled by the fear of judgment or the consequence of their actions. Depression may follow, as students grapple with feelings of inadequacy or regret. These emotional tolls are heavy burdens for anyone, let alone young people still finding their way in the world. The risks don't stop at emotional harm. Peer pressure can push students towards unsafe practices, unprotected sex, teenage pregnancies, and exposure to sexually transmitted infections. These physical consequences compound the emotional and psychological impact, creating a ripple effect that can shape lives for years to come.
So for emotional effects, we have things like heartbreaking. So if your partner decides to hurt you or break your heart, you're going to be sad, you're going to be disoriented, confused. So this might slow down your academic progress because you might decide to skip classes, not focus on your exams or your cuts as well. And this might slow you down. And for the emotional bit, I think stress, because when you're dating someone, you're bound to have arguments, mazozano, all that, yeah? So it might make you sad, stress you out. So yeah, I feel like it will generally slow you down in terms of education.
The consequence of sexual relationships among students extend far and beyond the students involved. Families are often affected as they navigate the fallout of decisions influenced by peer pressure. Futures are altered, with dreams and aspirations sometimes aligned by the unanticipated responsibilities or emotional struggles. Yet, despite its power, peer pressure is not an advisable force. The way forward, a path that empowers students to resist and reclaim their sense of choice.
In my own experience, I've seen a bunch of students in the University of Nairobi get pressured into having relationships that lead to unprotected sex. Like recently in the clinic here, there was an outbreak of chlamydia. So that shows that a lot of students are having unprotected sex. For me, a friend of mine got into the peer pressure of dating a rich guy, someone who can spoil her, take her out, do. So she ended up contracting HIV and AIDS. And I felt like it's the peer pressure that's led her to.
One of the most effective strategies that students use to resist peer pressure is open communication. By talking to trusted adults, teachers, counselors, or parents, students can gain perspective and find the support they need. These conversations can be a lifeline, offering guidance and reassurance when it's needed the most. Building self-confidence is another crucial step. When students have a strong sense of their values and beliefs, they are better equipped to stand firm against pressure. Confidence acts as a shield, enabling them to make choices that align with their true selves rather than succumbing to external expectations.
As students, just maintaining their focus, avoid hanging out in groups where students are talking about their relationships and all that. Hang out with people who talk about their education, their future, their career, their goals, and all that. That will really go a long way. And also, instead of being idle and talking about this kind of stuff, read, go to the library, study, do something that will take your mind off that conversation. And also, I feel like sensitizing university students that it's okay to not be in a relationship, because we're in a world where it's not okay to be single. It's not okay if you're not having sex. So if you can have guest speakers who are coming to talk to us and make it seem normal, like it's okay to wait for marriage, it's okay to not be in a relationship, that will really go a long way in encouraging students to remain simple.
Every student deserves to grow up in an environment that fosters respect, authenticity, and self-worth. By addressing peer pressure head-on, we can help them navigate the challenges of growing up with resilience and clarity. Together, we can build a future where young people thrive on their own terms, free from regrets and filled with possibility. A world where students are empowered to make choices that reflect their values and aspirations. A world within our reach.